Hey everybody, my name is Noah Pfister. Welcome to another episode of Showverse. And today I have a very, very special guest with me. I have the director of the upcoming film Prisoner of War, which details the story of a British SAS officer during World War II whose plane gets shot down over Japanese territory, where he becomes captured and has to fight for his life in a prison camp. I have with us here the immaculate Louis Mandylor. Louis?
Bless you. Wonderful introduction. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all. Now,
Silly.
uh, oh, getting a little comfortable there?
Yeah, sorry, buddy. I'm traveling through Europe in a hotel room, taking a break, driving through three countries. So sorry about that. I'm settled now.
Hey, no problem at all.
Yeah,
I'm just glad that we got you here today. And
thanks.
right off the bat, I just wanted to say that I deeply, deeply enjoy Prisoner of War. As you know, it's promoted in a sense as this, martial arts action film, a la John Wick, which ironically also starred Scott Adkins at one point. But what I was deeply surprised by was the layer of depth that it actually gave to some of its characters, as well as some very complex themes that you don't normally find in films like this. So I just right off the bat, I like to praise you for your work on this film because it really does stand out when compared to other action films.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. We we worked hard. Am I still with you, by the way?
Oh yeah, no, don't worry, you
Yeah,
still
great. So yeah, we worked hard. A lot of prep. Uh, Great crew. Wonderful script. And as far as captaining this, I'm really obsessive with preparation. I'm an illustrator. I storyboard all my films. I lens them. Do most of my choreography, other than the main action, which is done by the second unit, and we all together decide what we want to do, and then Stephen Rennie takes it over and does his magic. But it's preparation, and I'm a lover of cinema, and that's what spawned this because Scott got to work with me on some films, and I think he believed and trusted and saw my passion for filmmaking. So we decided to give it a shot. As far as Prisoner of War, I was lucky enough to make a few World War II movies the last 5 years, and brutal as they were, I learned life's lessons and grew tremendously as a storyteller and a filmmaker. And I think I'm finally finding my stride. I'm owning what I know, and this film represents decades of blood, sweat, and tear, not only for me, for the team, for the company, but as the director, I'm real happy. Scott is the greatest person to collaborate with. We had that relationship on all our other films, and it pushed on to a director actor relationship, as in Prisoner of War. So, with good prep, fighting storms, typhoons, and ripped hamstrings on the first days, I'm not sure if you know, we got through it because you got to learn, as cliche as it is, to be like water and find a blessing in a curse.
well, it ripped hamstring. I mean, I know with action films, there's usually moments where people wind up getting hurt. I mean, what was it? Like Charlize Theron lost several teeth on Atomic Blonde, and what was it? Orlando Bloom like shattered his femur or like sprained his femur working on Lord of the Rings. So these things usually come into play when it comes to working on films like this. But going to the relationship between you and Scott, it appears that he actually came up with the story basis that this film is actually based on. So I'm guessing, he grabbed the writer, got a script made, but, eventually when it comes to bringing a director on, there has to be a draw that pulls someone to want to direct a movie like this. So I wonder, what was the draw for you that made you go, you know what, I gotta make this movie. This is something I have to do.
Well, to share the absolute story of the evolution is Scott and I were discussing to make a film for a while, And on one particular phone call, we started bringing up POW thing. He indeed brought up Bridge over River Kwai, if you remember that old film. Yeah, so that's how it started. That was the spawning. So we talked about something like that. We brainstormed for a couple hours on the phone. I remember it was something reminiscent of that. Then Scott said, I said, write a treatment, bro, and we'll send it to Mark. So he wrote a treatment. We went through it. Mark ended up doing the first draft. And yeah, we kind of built it together. Mark was the main writer on it, of course, Mark Lebanoff, my partner. And then we just keep building it and saying this, that, the other. A lot of research went into it from all of us. Mark is the writer. He just smashed an incredibly beautiful script. And then once it comes into the director's hands, it's my job to get it on its feet, so to speak. And things always change, and you get to the set, and it's not, just you just have to be ready. So I was mapped, boarded, and ready for war, literally. And lucky I was. And that's why preparation is everything, because then you can adjust. So that was the evolution of the project, and here we are, just over a year and a bit later, and it's already nearly done. So the whole turnaround process has been extremely quick with Odyssey Motion Pictures.
Oh, you gotta have the little plug in there. Don't lo And by the way, feel free to check them out in the link in the description below.
Thanks, brother.
But I'm sorry. That year turnaround from shooting to post to now, like that took
Yeah,
only a year.
yeah. Just I'm sure it's a little over that, but not much, and that's unheard of for these middle of the road independent films. I made films 2, 3 years ago that's still not finished.
That's exactly. And,
Yeah,
I mean, I've interviewed many indie filmmakers who are like, yeah, we shot this thing 5 years ago, and then we had to reshoot it
yeah,
3 years
no,
ago, and it's like,
no, yeah, no, no way, not us. We can't do it like that anymore, man. Not us. And it's just a matter of prep. The good thing about us is we have a team. We've been doing this a long time. We have a whole team from crewing up to posting it. A lot of people don't. They don't have that ability. We have the ability to call the actors on the cell phones, which we did on this. Just got on the cell phones. That helps. We've been doing this a long time. We have a lot of relationships, but delivering a film is delivering a film. And if you're not prepped, ready, and locked, yeah, you can have a really difficult time.
which is why, and I agree with you because I've made a handful of shorts. I'm
Yeah,
still trying to work on one. It's
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 it's it's
it's
hard.
rough. It's rough. Yeah.
And one thing that I have learned is, you are right, prep time is everything. Like it allows for a smoother execution because just winging it on set is never really good.
Plus, you have to have the answers as the director. You get to set and you're getting hit from the second you wake up. There's 400 people from the actors, the crew. What about this? Where's the button? But did he wear this? Was it available in? Well, the actor's coming up. Well, this character didn't do that. But if you don't have answers, I mean, you're dead as far as I'm concerned. I never not want to have an answer for anything. And God bless Brendan and Mark. We had to deal with typhoons, and the set got flooded the first week, so we had to create a swing set environment and rebuilt Ito's tent indoors in a different studio. So you've got to constantly deal with artistic decisions, historical decisions, but also Mother Nature just kicking you in the head. There's so many variables, but when you're prepped, most of the time there's a way out. There's a way through.
And don't worry, I'm going to get to that because, if for those of you by now who have seen Prisoner of War, will know that it was shot partially in the Philippines, which, like I said, we will. I want to ask about certain elements of that, but first, going back to prep time, because unlike something like an indie drama where there's rehearsals just to get the performances right, this is an action film with a heavy stunt coordination, most of which was done by, you said, Stefan Rene?
Stephen Rennie.
Stephen Rennie.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot of different types of fighting that was done in this film. You had fist fights in the sand, you had sword fights, you had bamboo stick fights. Yeah, you had a lot of different types of stunts in this film, and you bring up prep time, coordination, and just executing stuff like that. Tell me exactly what it was like to go through the process of setting up basically all of these stunts, like walk me through the process of just any of them.
Yeah, well, the crew got there a little before me, and I like doing pre-boarding before I even see the locations. But the location was a prison camp, and they send me maps, so I was going off the maps. But what you got to remember, for someone who hasn't made a film, and I'm sure you can understand this, is it's written one way, but then you get to the set, and it says, oh, they run up the stairs and turn right, and they do this, and it's like there's no stairs, there's no right. I had one square box to try and create that whole movie. Literally, it was one big square box. So we actually created the ring a week before. We talked about the elevation, and I said, like what you see worked great. Also for the rain because we knew it was torrential downpour, so we had to think of that. We elevated the ring, so we created drains around the ring, so there was water like a river constantly going exiting this set because there was torrential. So from that to to uh, preparing the film, it's constant. You're never not ahead of the game. And remind me what the rest of the question was, real
Oh,
quick.
right. Sorry. I know I phrased it a
No,
little.
no, no, no. It's me. I segued into the water, and I just lost the main point. I had a main point coming, but what was
So,
it?
so there's a lot of fights that take place inside this ring,
Gotcha,
and
gotcha. I
and
remember.
we have other fights that take place, in the tent,
Yeah,
like between James, Ito, and their swords. There's a
yeah,
lot of heavy stunt work that
yeah.
went into this movie, which was coordinated by Stephen Renee. So
Rennie. Yeah.
I'm wondering, what was the like one? What was the prep time like? How did you
Oh, yeah,
coordinate these stunts? Like, and on top of that, what was it like shooting them? Because
yeah.
if you watch the movie, it's not done Bourne style where it's all shaky cam.
Nope.
You see the fights and you see, every hit, you see every sword swing, you see every punch, and I just
Yep.
would like to know how you were able to achieve all of this.
Well, it's funny. I just went through on this previous interview. We had rules. I always have rules as a filmmaker, and we created rules. And Stephen Rennie's a big part of those rules during the action sequences. And definitively big cinema, big lenses, and nothing handheld. Nothing handheld in that film, almost, anyways, if I can remember. Steady sticks. That's it. So with that in mind, yeah, you need an actor that can deliver. All these other movies, you don't know what's going on. It's like looks great with popcorn, but to me, it's hard to get invested. Some of it looks fantastic, but you kind of know it's not the dude. Well, our dude's doing it, and that's what's great about a film action star. He can act and he can kick ass, so you can afford big lenses, as you mentioned. So Stephen and I discussed the style and the rules of the fight because it was a period piece and he could only have learnt so many things at that point in time and we're real strict with that. And what's great is Steven's a karate guy, so he could be real specific with like, well, they wouldn't punch like that. Maybe it's, all those little things that people will notice that know that world, such as the World War II movie people that rip you up if you get it wrong, rightly so, I guess. So we discussed what we wanted, and he did his privies with his team, and he'd send them to us, and we'd approve and maybe sometimes make some comments. Scott was obviously a big part of that. Then we get to set, and they had very little rehearsal time, I think, but there was a little bit, and then you're on the hot set and you're doing it. So yeah, we'd privy them, we'd discuss them. There were rules. We had to oblige with what he would know at that point in time, and then we had to deal with the ripped hamstring on the first day. So you got to find a blessing in that curse, as I said earlier. So I was thinking, you know what, Stephen, what kind of throws, what kind of judo? And he said, well, they knew this and it. So we can do throws and rolls. Yes. So we incorporated, and again, to me, it's a blessing because, if you notice all of Scott's movies, he does a lot of throws, a lot of neck cracks, a lot of rolls, he does some arm bars, some chokes. He does a little jiu-jitsu. So, at that point in time, so a little judoka stuff. So to me, it's a little slightly different Scott Adkin ass kicking movie because we've incorporated a slightly different element, which happened through the injury, by the way.
Oh, man, that's so cool. Um, and it's always nice to know that, you do care about people's safety. Yes, people do get hurt, but it's a matter of the degree of injury when compared to, just making sure everyone on set is, taking care.
Man, I've been cracked on every action movie I've starred in. I've broken fingers and ribs in the middle of takes. You just got to cowboy up and keep going, bro, like the big boys. They cowboy up and they keep going, unless it's obviously threatening to the point where you need medical attention. But I guess a broken rib and a broken finger is pretty damn bad. But nonetheless, if you can still go through it, you go through it. And it's inevitable that no one's going to get hurt, man. I mean, I'm sure you agree. These people don't know this, or they don't realize that they watch a film and they're like, oh, that's all fake. Well, guess what? It's not. We're really going through windows. We're really going through walls. Granted, they've been scored, and granted, it might be sugar glass. We're going through it. We have to land. Stuntmen, they're really getting hit by cars. They're really doing high falls from 100 feet. And there's variables of degree of danger. And when you do fight scene, you're hitting to the body. You're trying to miss to the head, but you always get. After I did Hellhound, it took me 3 weeks to recover. I don't know if you know that movie, but yeah, you're always going to get banged up. It's an action movie. And I've seen Scott, like on Debt Collectors, the first one. I laugh because I'm an action dude, and I commit, man. I go through. I'll do anything to get the shot. But the shit that he was doing on that number one Debt Collector, I was like, this guy's a beast. I call him the machine when we're together. I mean, day after day, after lunch, there's no rest, full stomach and a cup of coffee. Got to go through that wall 14 times. You got to chase that car and have it drag you down the street, and then go through this plate glass window after this car hits you. Yeah, he's great.
I've only ever heard good things about Scott, but
Yeah, he's great.
I do have, one more big question,
Go for it.
which is we talked about earlier that, you experience weather conditions in the on location, and if you saw this film, looks like it was shot practically on location. So, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like shooting? Because I guess I read somewhere that it was shot in the Philippines. Is that correct?
Entirely in the Philippines. We shot not far from the actual Bataan March spot. We shot quite close to where this actually happened, and that, for me anyway, I didn't discuss it with many people, but for me, it gave me such a just an honor and a connection as director of the film to just try and make something beautiful and really respect all cultures and the moment. So entirely in the Philippines. The biggest element was the weather because we were between a rock and a hard place. We had to push it for another year, and as you know, in this business, another year means never. Or just walk into the eye of a hurricane and a typhoon, literally. And we chose to walk into it, so it was a great experience. The crews were great; they were really good people, and we ended up getting it. Yeah, somehow we got it, man. I look back and think, wow, how we made it through. But the one thing, and not only about me, my DP, Mark, Brandon, we refused to compromise. I mean, I made them nervous production sometimes because I'd push and push. And, as far as we did, here's something that no one knows. We did all the dialogue scenes in the barracks, right? All those scenes.
Yeah.
I, I did them in one night.
Huh?
Yeah, like 20 pages of dialogue with continuity and performance. One night. And my producers trusted me because of the typhoons and everything. We were constantly adjusting. And there were days where we had 3 hours to shoot or 2 hours to shoot, and they'd say, "Louis," I'm like, "Nah, we're going home. Everyone's going home." And they'd be like, "What? Go get a shot, do something." And I'm like, "No, we need rest. We're good. I'll make it through." And I love them for trusting me. And also, as a filmmaker, you end up owning your own shoes. And I didn't want to shoot anything I didn't want to put in the film. I don't want just casual stuff. I've got my fucking boards and I know what I want to do. Plus, I also knew that we'd have 2 hours and 40 minutes of footage to edit. But all these things come into play and having the trust of everyone and vice versa. It helped us get to somewhere great. And the greatest thing is, even though I pushed to the last second of almost every day, literally, and we got to nuance those performances because without that time, that little bit of extra time, it wouldn't breathe. You wouldn't believe them. You wouldn't care, and you don't have a film. So we were blessed to get what we wanted.
It's amazing to hear that, Lewis. And for those of you watching, Prisoner of War releases on September 19th. So literally, as soon as you're done watching this interview, please go check it out. It is something I highly, highly, highly recommend. And Lewis, I would once again love to thank you for your time. Your work on this film was impeccable, and I look forward to seeing whatever it is you make down the line. I think you have an immense talent.
Thanks.
And yeah,
Thank you.
I have nothing but praise. So I know you got
Bless
a
you.
lot of
Thank you.
places to be. I know we got a lot of more of these junkets to do. So from all of us here at Showverse, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thank you, Noah. I appreciate you. Great interview. God bless, buddy. Thank you so much.
Take care. And secondly, before I go any further, there's just one tiny thing I wanted to get out of the way first, and that is there's just one. Loved the movie, by the way. I
Yeah.
very much enjoyed it. There's just one thing I wanted to tell you, like, because I work and make movies on the side. There's one creative decision that you made in regards to the finale of the film that I personally would have changed just a little bit. And it wasn't a big change. It's after Scott Adkins' character. It's after the bombing raid on the camp and everyone's escaping. This is after what's his face? This is after James and Ito got into their fight. James is running away, and one of the Japanese soldiers is about to fire on him, and Ito knocks the rifle up in the air. There's this scene, and Peter has this look on his face where it's like, why are you running away? Like, this is the final fight. Come back here. And like, part of me really wishes, like, because he had his sword in hand, if he just like held his hands and arms out like this, like, come on, like we're not fucking done here yet before running off. Because like, I really wish he would have done that. Because as much as as Peter's performance hit that home pretty hard. Like we're not fucking done here, dude. Like come on. Like this is the final fight. We have to do this before James, goes off. I just kind of would have wished that he did like that. Like come on, like uh, done a little more. But that's just me. I still think the subtlety of the performance is really what hammers home that moment because in action films, you usually get like the final showdown between the hero and the villain. And here you don't really get that because the film isn't necessarily about their final confrontation. This is about James's literal fight for survival. So to see, a villain of the story look defeated in a more not metaphysical. That's the wrong word to say. To look so defeated in a soulful sense was something that for an action film of this caliber, I was not actually ready for. Because as soon as James just looks on and runs off, and you just see Ito's just look of not shame but utter defeat. Dude, I'm like, oh wow, that kind of hit a little bit. I wasn't like I'm like this is just supposed to be like a dumb action film, and now I'm kind of feeling some. This is it's a little weird. So I gotta say, Lewis, that was a that was deeply, deeply good, and I am very, very happy that that for an action film like this that's done with such a small budget that you actually still put the time and effort to actually create a captivating, not a villain, antagonist, and have his send off be that of a more soulful defeat rather than a more physical one.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
It's interesting. I'll respond by saying, to me, you kind of said one and the other. You loved it and you didn't like it, which is great. Art's subjective. As the filmmaker, to me, the movie was never about the war. The movie was about their relationship. And to me, the movie really kicks into gear. Granted, it's an action, martial arts action movie, but I promised Scott I'm going to make some serious fucking cinema. And we did. And thanks for acknowledging that last moment. So when he dismisses him in the beginning, and he says, take him to the jungle and behead him, that's when the movie begins. And at some point, that was cut out of the movie, and I went ballistic. That's the movie. So between the culture and we intertwined that they had the same fathers, they had the same military lifestyle. They're two sides of the same coin. They see it. Everyone else is just doing their job, trying to survive the war. But that's the movie to me, yeah. So at the end, and we discussed. I mean, the ending was a real tricky thing. My, I never like to share, like the artist with paintings. I like everyone like yourself to surmise their own conclusion and their feelings. Excuse me. Maybe if you see it again, to me, yeah, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to influence one people like yourself to, interpret it. But
Right.
it, yeah, I think people have loved Ito. It's 90% plus their favorite character. Why? He's killing everyone. There's a reason for it because we layered it and we justified the culture, the admiration. And they could have killed him any time. But this white boy, this Quilo that's coming here teaching him, he's a master. Scott's a master too. We justified how Scott got the knowledge. But at the end, I think he is defeated, but it's an admiral defeat where he says, this guy doesn't deserve a bullet in the back of the brain by one of my men. Granted, it's war, but you've earned your freedom. And he taught him something. Ito finally learnt something at the end. Personally, I don't think he wanted him to come back and fight him anymore. I think he said, you're on your way, kid. You did it. In other words, you're not killing this guy. And for a Japanese commander to do that in that time, in that era, yeah, man, you get it. It
Oh,
is
it's a
unheard of.
it's a
So
huge it's an
yeah,
honor thing. It's
yeah,
about
yeah.
honor and the
Made a
fact
lot of
is
people teary-eyed in the theater, actually, including myself. And Peter did give a remarkable performance. And on that note, Peter and I discussed every day because, we made him tragically worse than he was in the script. He executed, so, I mean, it's a Mandylor film, violence, but justified cinema. I'm not just mercenarily but they also did that. So it was based on the truth. But I told him, I said, the way if you focus on um, your relationship with him and your admiration at the same time as your disgust that this white guy is destroying you in front of your nation, that'll get you through. And then that payoff, it sums it up. And I hope that it continues to play as such. Yeah. Anyways.